throws from the pocket, launching downfield. Mitchell, touchdown, Texas!
You are looking live at the College Football Insiders Show.
You throw it. McCarthy looking, throws deep, got a wide open receiver. Cornelius Johnson sprinting, touchdown Michigan.
Now, here are your hosts, ready to break down this weekend's top matchups.
What is up, college football fans? We are coming to you live. Smitty, Q, cold beer in hand, 6-pack of previews on deck. What's up, boys?
It's a hell of a TV prop. That beer can.
It does
pour that,
like
turn that thing upside
beer.
down. See if anything comes out of that.
Light beer.
All I got to say is, every week when we start this show and that Michigan highlight comes up, a smile comes on my face. Maybe Ohio State should have had maybe someone scouting that play, and maybe they would have stopped it. Go Big Blue.
Love it.
Found a way to sneak Michigan in there, just
I
like
always do. It's
Michigan
hard,
been sneaking
hard
in
to keep
everybody
a great
else's
team down.
stadiums, spying on plays and all that bullshit. Is this a
I'll
wild
tell ya.
goose chase? Like, is this?
Yes. This is. They don't like Jim Harbaugh because he clashes with the NCAA committee. He just does his own thing. He's quirky, and listen. Every team does it. Okay. I think Dave Portnoy's whole thing on Ryan Day using his brother-in-law to be the third-party investigator. I think this ultimately comes down from Ohio State. They don't want anybody digging into their closet. Same with any other Power 5 team. So it's not cheating. If you want to end this, just go to the electronic helmets and be done with it. I mean, any of us who have taken a picture or recorded from the stadium, I guess could be considered spies or scouts or whatever you want to call them to fit your narrative. And this is BS. So let's move on.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough to win.
That's it.
Everybody hates a winner.
All right, let's recap last week real quick. A lot of green on the board. Could have done better, but I'll take it. I went 4-2 in my best bets. Q with the 2-2 push, and Smitty killing it with these team totals, brother.
Well, got back
Brag
on
yourself a little bit.
Got back on it. It was nice to come back. I was 12-12 going in. I was really cold. I think I was 0-4 the week before. Came back, played 2 last week, 2-0, so up to 14-12 for the year. I got one play for this weekend.
Okay, so diving right into it. Kansas State travels to Austin. Kelly in Vegas. We will air her segment at the end of the show, but she is going to be on 6th Street down in Austin, Texas, rooting on her Wildcats. And the numbers like Kansas State, and I feel like everybody else is on them too. Malik Murphy looked okay last week. Granted, Kansas State's defense is a lot better than BYU's. Q, are you doing anything in this one?
I'm not, but if I did have to take a play, I think I would lean Kansas State. They got a dual-headed running back monster with Ward and Giddens. Defense always steps up in the big games. I think they're one of the underrated teams in college football. They're always ready for an upset, and I think this game means a lot to Kansas State, knowing you can really close the door on the Big 12 chapter for Texas and keep them out of the Big 12 championship. And Kansas State could play their way into that game. It's if they win this game, I mean, what's to stop them from being one of the top 2 teams and playing in that game? Oklahoma's got 1 loss. They could easily lose again this season. And this is a big statement game for Kansas State here. And I think they could be up for the challenge. So I lean +4, but overall it did make my card.
Smitty.
Yeah, I'm on this game. I took Kansas State +4. I think it's a game that get back, play bully ball, really pound the ball a little bit on this. Howard, don't turn the ball over. Texas wants to make him throw a little bit, but just be, for Kansas State's sake, don't turn the ball over. I want to see if Murphy can do this against a good team. had a pretty good game last week. I think he was like 16 out of 20 or 28. I can't read my notes. I'm a messy handwriter sometimes. 2 touchdowns here. They got so many weapons, though. I mean, they really do. Texas is that team. But Texas sometimes just drops the ball a little bit. This is a physical team. I want to see Kansas State punch Texas in the mouth a little bit here. I think the +4 is really nice. I'm on Kansas State.
All right. Georgia may be a surprise to some to see a number 2 next to their name. Not to me. I had Ohio State pegged as that number 1 team. However, they struggled last season with Missouri. If you remember back in that game, was that a fluke, or do you think Missouri can keep this one tight, Smitty?
Yeah, 9-1 last 10, Georgia in this. But here's the thing. They're coming off the largest cocktail party out there. So are they a little maybe hung over in a sense here? Beck looked good. You know, Florida went down really quick in that game, but then Florida responded. The wide receiver, I'm losing his name right now. He's back.
Lad McConkey.
Yeah, McConkey had a great game last week here. I got him on both my fantasy teams. Let's throw him in this week and have some big numbers here. But I think this is a high. This is a high spread here. +15 is a lot of points. But it's a pass for me just because Georgia's coming off that. But could they be a little irritated that Ohio State's ranked over them? They could throw some points on here. I think this one could be a little higher scoring. I think Missouri will get some points because I like their offense, but I think Georgia throws it on them. Good running backs. Beck looks good right now. It's a pass for me. I think it's a higher scoring game. Maybe look at team points or maybe the over, but maybe I'd take a chance with Missouri just to maybe do a backdoor cover.
Q, you suffered firsthand bruising by Georgia last weekend. So what do you think?
I think if you could buy down Georgia to -14, I like it a lot. But ultimately, if you took the 15, I'm okay with it. I think Georgia could win by 14-17. I think Georgia is not going to sleep on them this year like they did last year. I think Georgia is starting to figure it out. Without Brock Bowers, you get McConkey back. It opens up the field of play. The defense looks strong. The second half was a little different. They took their foot off the gas against Florida. It could have been worse than what it was. I think Georgia's starting to find stride here towards the final third of the season, and I think Georgia at home takes care of Missouri.
The one thing I was waiting to look at when I ran these numbers is where these teams shape up as far as offense versus defense, and they're both success rate 20th for Missouri and defense for Georgia is 20th. So it's basically a wash. Anytime Missouri is going to have the ball, Georgia is going to be right there with the exact same amount of effort. On the flip side, Georgia's got the hands down benefit offense to defense for Missouri's defense, but I'm going to stay away from it. If I had to lean, I'd probably lay it with Georgia just because they seem to get up for the bigger games. And like you said, I don't think they'll sleepwalk past Missouri this year. But it won't surprise me either if Missouri hangs with them. But then again, Missouri hung with LSU the whole game and then ended up not even covering. So I think a lot can happen. The 15 line is kind of odd. I think if it was 14 and a half, you'd have a lot more people playing it. But it's being stuck at 15 is kind of weird. Okay, Oklahoma State. This is one that I've seen a lot of sharps on opposite ends. Our numbers really like Oklahoma in this spot. I know that they almost lost to UCF. They did lose to Kansas. They were the better team on paper, and both of those should have won by more. I'm not sold on Brent Venables as being a very good coach. Their defense hasn't looked as dominant as they probably should be, giving up, 38 points to Kansas to their backup quarterback. Oklahoma State drops the early game against South Alabama and then really turns it on in Mike Gundy fashion. And he's a dog. He loves playing that role. Smitty, does little brother beat big brother one more time before they show him the door and they go to the SEC?
No, what a shame that this one's over. I mean, this should be fantastic. I think this one's going to be up and down. I'm over 62 in this game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game here. You got Oklahoma's 7-1 last 8 in this. But really, if you've watched Oklahoma the last week, we were on we liked Kansas last week. We kind of gave that out. I gave that out on a teaser in this. They're giving up a lot of points. Their defense just is not there. I think this one's going to be very high scoring. You look at this, the Gordon, the running back, is just fantastic. Over 200 yards last week rushing. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think little brother, if Gundy could throw a lot of points on this one, he's going to throw a lot of points on this one. I think Oklahoma can give up a lot of points. I think this one's high scoring. I love the over 62. I'm on that play.
Q, what are you doing here?
It's a stay away for me. I think you guys both echoed it really well. Oklahoma, what team do you get? They should have won that game last week and they didn't. To have to then play your biggest rivalry, second biggest rivalry game is pretty tough, especially on the road. Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon, outside of him, what do they have? It's kind of a big question mark, but they always play this game tough. So I think it's one of those games where you have two teams that can either show up or forget that they have a game on Saturday. So to put my money on it, I just don't feel confident either side.
All right. One that I do know you made a play on. Penn State Nittany Lions, they travel to Maryland to take on the Terps. You're on Penn State. Am I wrong?
No, I think Penn State bounces back. I mean, they had 2 rough weeks. You lose in Columbus to Ohio State, and then you struggle with Indiana at home. They get it done. They do win by 9 late. That would cover this game. Maryland started off like 4-1 and just kind of fell off the tracks. They took a tough loss to a really down Northwestern team on the road. Last time Smitty and I went to the Maryland game, Penn State won 52-3. I'm not saying it's going to be that this year, but I think Penn State wins by 10 plus. I think they kind of bounce back.
59-0, Q.
59-0, even worse.
59-0, yeah.
I think Penn State kind of gets back here for the third game and takes care of business against the Terps.
Smitty.
Yeah, this is one that it's just has not been pretty. I mean, Penn State's really had Maryland's number. Like Q said, we were at that 2019 game, and that was a Friday night game, and Maryland's gonna. I think I even bet Maryland, and it was 59-0. Thank God the scoreboard's a piece of garbage, and you couldn't see the score half the time, so kind of blacked it out a little bit. It was bad, but I mean, the last year it was 30-0, 31-14, 35-19, 59-0. I mean, this is one. And Maryland, like Q said, this is a team that always seems like they get off great and then they sink fast. And last week losing to Northwestern, they sank fast. Here's the thing. Hey, Indiana, what in the world were they doing? They get the interception late in the game. They're down 3. Go for the win. You have 2 wins on the year, Mr. Allen, Coach Allen. Now, what do? 3 zone reads right up the gut, kick a field goal, and then Penn State goes right down. Like you said, they win by 9 points. I mean, they didn't cover anything, but hey, Indiana, be a little bit more aggressive. That'd be fantastic. Here, Aller has not impressed me. I think he's really struggled. I think, Maryland has been okay against the run, but Penn State has 2 really good running backs. I think it's a good bounce spot back because I think last week was the sleepwalking game. You have Michigan on deck, so that's where their focus could be, but they struggled last week. I think they're refocused. I think they get the cover. It's a pass for me, but I like Penn State in this one.
I'm going to stay away from it. I feel like Penn State's probably the right side. Tagovailoa can be tricky, though. But Penn State's defense is just too good. I don't think they're going to sleep in that game. James Franklin, though, when he going back to the Ohio State game, when he said, I'm not sure that we didn't just see the top 2 teams in the country. Laughable. I think top 2 team doesn't almost lose to Indiana. Anyways, number 5, Washington Huskies take on the USC Trojans. This is a very odd 82% of the money is on Washington. Every sharp I know on VSiN is on USC here, including Kelly in Vegas coming up, and myself are on the USC Trojans. I can't quit them. I'm going to keep betting them until they win. They're probably not going to win this game, but hopefully they can cover the 4 that I got. Smitty, are you doing anything in this high-flying 76.5-point total game?
Yeah, I'm on this one, and I'm shocked because I go against USC all the time because I don't think they're a very good football team, but I saw that too. Everyone's on USC, and the line is a head-scratcher. When you saw the line, you're like, something's not right here. So I'm going to take a chance. Maybe I'm a fool. We'll find out by tomorrow night at some point here. I'm on the +3. I took USC in this game. Big numbers. Hey, USC 2-7 ATS. They're not covering anything, but this one is just, there's another one on later on one of my plays of the week here. That's to me, another head scratcher with the line. A lot of offense. Get ready for it. It's coming. Fantasy numbers are going to be fantastic in this game. I just think this is fishy. I'm going to take a chance. I'm on USC plus the 3.
Q.
It's a stay away. I think the Huskies are the side, even against the Sharps. I just don't trust this USC team. But with everybody on it, it does kind of make you wonder, like, am I missing something? And like Smitty said, the line is kind of weird. So with a weird line, I think I'll just stay away and kind of watch it and see what happens.
Is Penix the Heisman if he wins this game on a big stage?
I think it depends if Daniels goes into Tuscaloosa and wins. I think he's getting some steam.
I think McCarthy too. If you look for McCarthy, if he puts some big numbers tomorrow, which he should, and then he can go into Penn State next week and really put up some big numbers. The only thing, everyone, like we said earlier in the show, everyone's against Michigan right now. That might hurt the kid, but I think if he puts up big numbers, he could be right there too. But yeah, I think if Penix throws some big numbers up in this one and they win by maybe 7-10 or maybe even more, then yeah, he could be the front runner.
Tim Murray brought up a really good point. If you like LSU in this LSU Alabama game, throw some money on Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman. I did it a couple weekends ago with Bo Nix. I took Bo Nix to win the Heisman. I think it was like 24-1 or whatever. Granted, they lost that game against Washington, but they played as the better team. And now I think Bo Nix is like the second shortest shot behind Penix. So I'm in a pretty good position there. Let me just rattle off a couple of guys on VSiN that are on USC. Wes Reynolds, Matt Humans, Jonathan Von Tobel, Brad Powers, Tim Murray, Chris Felica, Mark Lawrence, and Zachary Cohen are all on USC. Some big names. Will Hill, he's on them too. Sorry, forgot to mention Willie. Okay, moving over to LSU, Alabama, the marquee matchup of the SEC. What are you doing here, Smitty?
Yeah, I'm on Bama. I'm on Bama. Let me just check my numbers here. I did this earlier in the week. I got him at -3. Daniels is trying to beat him for 2 years in a row. That has never happened with Saban at Alabama. Has not happened. I saw on Twitter somebody. I'm sorry. I didn't write this down. Who you were, but they said that has not happened since he was at Michigan State, and that was Drew Brees. Beat him back-to-back years. So listen, I love this Bama team. And I've said it on this show. I'm not an Alabama lover. I don't like their program or anything. I like the quarterback. I think the kid's a winner. I like him. I think the team's going to be okay. LSU can't stop anybody. Alabama is going to be able to put points on the board, and their defense will be able to slow down LSU a little bit. I like the quarterback from LSU. I think they have weapons. The wide receiver, Neighbors, is a really talented wide receiver. I think he's good, but Alabama is the play in this. Alabama will win this game, and they will cover the 3.
Q.
Yeah, I'm there. The only thing Smitty didn't say is I think it comes down to coaching, and I think Saban's the superior coach over Brian Kelly. Saban makes halftime adjustments. Brian Kelly doesn't. And I think that's going to be the change in the game there. And I think Alabama wins at home.
Yep. I took Alabama -3.5 earlier in the week. Thought I had a great number. It got all the way up to 6.5. Now it's back down to 3. I ended up betting the money line. I think Alabama at the end of the day, they may play a close game, but I think they'll come out on top. We've got a little house divided, those license plates with the two teams. We've got a matchup here, Arkansas and Florida, and Arkansas is nothing to write home about, but it is a big game because I'm the resident Razorback fan. And then you've got this asshole to my left who is a Florida Gators fan, but living in Virginia. Make it make sense. What are we doing here, Smitty? As a non-biased fan of the sport, why is this line dropping in favor of Arkansas?
Yeah, I have no clue, but I do have a play in this game, so I'm going to throw it out here. Team points, 2-0 last week, 14-12 for the year. I did take one. I'd like to add one more, maybe tonight. That will be my homework tonight. I am on Arkansas over 21.5. I don't know who's going to win this game. Looking at it, Florida should win this game. Florida's a better team. You're coming off a bye, though, for Arkansas. You finally got rid of the offensive coordinator that was really not very good. The quarterback has not played up to his potential. The running back really hasn't either. I know he's been hurt. I just think Arkansas, if you look at some of the numbers, and I don't have them, I wrote it down, but I don't have my notebook in front of me right now. They've been right there. Now, last game against Mississippi State, 3 points. So that wasn't close. The other ones they're always at like 20, 21, 24, 27. Like, I think it's going to be there. I think they hit that team point over. I like it. I don't know. I'm going to let you two hash out who's going to win this game.
Well, you alluded to it. I think Dan Enos being out at offensive coordinator is the best thing because him and KJ weren't getting along. I think that was probably a lot of KJ Jefferson's problems. That being said, Kenny Guyton has never called a play before. And ever since he was at Ohio State, I guess he was called plays in the huddle. But we'll see what this offense looks like. He said he chopped 60% of the playbook. And by the looks of it, we ran 15 to 16 different plays. So we're down to like 4. We're going to do speed option up the middle. It's going to be like me playing Madden. I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this team. We're either going to fall flat on our face and get blown out by 40, or we're going to win outright. I don't think there's anywhere in between. So I'll let Q tell me how great Florida is as a barely bowl eligible hunt team of the SEC East.
Hey, I told you to bet Florida over 5.5 wins before we started. I hope you did because they're going to cash it tomorrow. I think you might see some line drops. Shamar James, Florida's best defensive player, has just been named out for the season. So that might be some smoke. And then, the Enos firing, I think is probably a combination. But I think Florida at home is the play. I mean, Arkansas, we talked about it on Jeff's show. They're in 2 different places. Arkansas is trying to figure out if they're going to, destroy the team and kind of rebuild. Florida's in a rebuild. I think Florida's trending up, just may not be as fast as some people want. I think Arkansas is trending down. If I'm Florida, I'm going to stack the box and make KJ Jefferson throw because we've seen him. He misses receivers by 10 yards. And I think that's, to Florida's benefit. Good defensive line, decent tackling linebackers. I think Florida stacks the box and just really puts some pressure on KJ. I don't know if Arkansas can complete the passes effectively enough to win a game with his, inconsistent line play last week. The lack of play calling, I think you can get pretty predictable there in Florida's favor. And then his accuracy has been a problem, regardless of whether it's Enos there or Kenny Guyton. So I think that's kind of the tactic to beat Arkansas, and I think they get it done. I'm not saying they blow them out. It's going to be a 3 to 7 point victory.
Well, that comes to the close of the preview. Before we get to Kelly and Vegas's interview, do you guys have anything else to touch on?
Let me see. I'll just list. Well, you'll list my plays on Twitter. They'll be on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll come back and do our special teaser segment and our best bets after this. But if y'all are good, we're going to go ahead and roll the interview with Kelly. By a very special guest, one of the best sports handicappers that I know, and I just want to thank her for joining us today, Miss Kelly in Vegas.
Hey, Matt, what's going on?
Just living the dream. Thank you again for coming on. I hear you're going to a football game this weekend.
Shocker, I know. I am going to be in Austin for Kansas State, Texas. This is kind of one of those games that I had circled earlier on in the season. I told you while I was jobless, if you will. I wasn't really ever jobless, just without a main job after Barstool. And I kind of didn't really do my traditional go somewhere every single weekend because I was trying to figure out where my new home was going to be. Now I'm without Kick and they say, hey, go do whatever you do best. So I booked this trip actually in early August because I thought, okay, where can I be most utilized for K-State? I did not have my hopes set on a Big 12 championship like I did last year. I actually said, hey, 8 games is going to be a stretch for this team. If they win 9, great, but I want nothing to do with the season win total. But I thought, all right, they're going to be almost double-digit dogs in Austin. I can be well utilized here with this loud mouth of mine.
And then, lo and behold, Quinn Ewers is out and Kansas State seems to be getting a lot of money right now. I think that line's down to 4. For those that don't know, you are a K-State alum, correct?
I am. I spent 5 whole years there. So I got a piece of paper that says
Fifth
I
year senior.
put in the work. You know, it was fun. I really enjoyed growing up there, going to K-State games. But I think that kind of the caveat here, and especially as a gambler, is that you have to really show no bias. I'm tough on my Kansas State Wildcats, really. Whether it's basketball, whether it's football, anything. I think that I am, for lack of better words, a realist and understand. And I kind of said I thought that the Mizzou game was a weird kind of game where it could have really went either way. Obviously lost a last minute field goal, 61-yarder, but that was a hard fought game. Mizzou is playing better than I thought they would this year. K-State then went on the road, lost in Stillwater. And I kind of told everybody, I said, this is like one of those stupid games that K-State will lose. And they said, oh, well, you either said they were going to win by double digits or they were going to lose outright. And I go, and that's what happened. I didn't want, the math said K-State, 11.5-point favorites. But I've seen that kind of show from Kansas State before. I'm just glad that they didn't lose to a Game 5 program like Tulane this year. So kind of was nervous about Troy, I'll be really honest with you, but they handled business there. But going into Austin is a tough place to win, and Texas has really owned this team for a better part of this decade.
So are you betting anything in this one?
So I did take K-State money line at 5. I thought about putting them in my parlay, and I said, you know what? If this is a field goal game and they end up losing last minute, I'm going to be more pissed at the people that follow me. Last year, I put K-State in my parlay as double-digit underdogs in Norman. That is kind of a place K-State has thrived. But in Austin, given the recent history, I thought, this is a tough one. I do think K-State's going to win this game and seeing some money coming in them early. But, man, have they looked good the last 2 weeks. And sometimes when teams look a little too good, especially against, I'll call them inferior opponents because Tech and TCU are both inferior opponents. But I do think this is an evenly slated game. I think if this game was in Manhattan, the line would be pick 'em.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Murphy, I think he's going to be the biggest thing in this one. I think Kansas State's defense is a lot better than BYU showed last week. I think if they can pressure him, I like the Cats to win this one as well. Moving around the Big 12, you just touched on Oklahoma State. They kind of came out of nowhere. They started the season pretty shitty, and now they're a short dog versus Oklahoma. Are you doing anything in this one?
Yeah, I did put Oklahoma State. They were the first team I put on my money line list this week. And I know on Twitter, it appears I like to troll Sooners fans, but I actually have never had a beef with them until about 3 weeks ago when I said they were lucky not to have to face K-State this year. And then they struggled with UCF. And then I had Kansas last week in my parlay, was a nice outright winner. Now they just play this little brother team, right? Before they get a ride off into the SEC sunset. But, hey, as you mentioned, Gundy's boys have been playing a lot better. 5-game win streak since they beat Kansas State on that Friday night. And that's because Gundy stopped with this stupid quarterback carousel thing that he's been doing basically since the middle of last season. They have a quarterback. I'm not saying he's great, but he's there. Gundy is a home dog, more importantly, though. 8 of the last 10 they've won outright. On the flip side, look, Sooners, I like Dylan Gabriel. I bet them in the Red River rivalry. Is that what we're calling it now? And I thought that they had a chance to win. They were the outright dog that week that cashed for me. But their defense is an issue. They're an absolute liability. And we saw that for the last couple of weeks here. And you have the Cowboys here who just put up 600 yards in total offense. I'm not sure the Sooners can stop them. I am sad this is going to be the last bedlam for the foreseeable future, but I think Oklahoma's going to be heading to the SEC with an L. I like Oklahoma State +6. I like them +190.
So who comes out of the Big 12 in the last year that it's probably a thing right now? Are you still leaning Texas?
So I did give out Texas. Let's see. When John Murray and I do a show on Wednesday nights called Kelly and Murray, and this was maybe week 4, somebody said, who's your top 4? And this was before Texas had lost to Oklahoma. This was right after they beat Bama. I thought, okay, you know what? Quinn Ewers looks good. And that was before we kind of realized how much Alabama had regressed and had their own quarterback issues there with Jalen Milroe. So I'm going to say that this is going to be really interesting. I would not be surprised to see it be Oklahoma, Texas, or Kansas State. It all depends this weekend. If Oklahoma can go into Stillwater, win that game, we know they have the leg up over Texas. Kansas State beating Texas also benefits Oklahoma. But if Oklahoma loses in Stillwater, they're all but toast here because they don't play Kansas State in the regular season. K-State would have to win out. Texas would have to win out. This is a fun 3-horse race, and you can't really count out Oklahoma State just yet. So a lot of people think that KU is still in the running. Hate to break it to them. They're going to lose this weekend in Ames.
Oh, bold prediction there. All right, moving to SEC country. I heard you tease it earlier backstage, but you've got a little parlay with the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, I do. Hey, Matt, I know it's not been fun. I've bet against them with BYU. I bet against them with Mississippi State. There's a couple of spots here where I was wrong on the Razorbacks and right on the Razorbacks. And I think this is one where I've pinpointed them because it's not really a play on the best 2-win team in college football, right? This is a play against the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators being a favorite role. I've been living in Florida for the last 3 football seasons now, and you know when to play this team and you know when to fade this team. And anytime after the cocktail party, especially the wampin that they just got from the Georgia Bulldogs, is really tough to not lose that game twice. Plus, you have the Hogs off a bye. And I'm not saying they're going bowling, but if they can rattle off 4 straight, meaning they get a win here, they get a win over FIU. Oh, come on, Matt. It's not out of the realm of possibility, right? But you got to get the win here in the Swamp on Saturday. And, a lot of people are, well, Kelly, the Gators have never lost to the Razorbacks in the Swamp. Well, I don't know. Sam Pittman is an underdog, 16-6-1. So no wonder I like to play against the Razorbacks in certain spots and like to play on them in others. This is a spot I think they're worth a play on. I think they're worth a money line sprinkle plus 190.
I guess the one good thing I can tell you is that Dan Enos is out, OC. Kenny Guyton never called a play in his life. He was a quarterback at Ohio State. He's taken this playbook, shrunk it down by about 60%, and it's going to hopefully be good for KJ Jefferson, who has not looked particularly good this year.
But
so
KJ,
we'll see.
We saw him last year, right? In certain roles. Look, some of these kids, they get a little tape on them, defensive coordinators. Listen, I have argued till I'm blue in the face that top to bottom, the SEC isn't the best conference, but the SEC is a very tough conference right there. Like I would say second tier, right? The Mizzous, the Arkansas, the A&Ms, the Tennessees, the Kentuckys. There is like that grouping there where you guys just beat up on each other. And you get some of those really good defensive coordinators that we have seen over the years. You get a kid like KJ Jefferson who's super athletic, but maybe doesn't have the best quarterback IQ at times. You're going to get figured out. And that's where it gets tough, right? There's, we talk about it all the time in the NFL. There's really only 15 starting quarterbacks. Well, think about the depth chart in these college teams. Like you get 4 or 5-star recruits. Sometimes they don't pan out the way that you wanted them to, but I think KJ is serviceable, and I think that he has the ability to beat this Gators team.
Anything else in the SEC you're looking at?
Oh, boy.
Big one down in Tuscaloosa.
Well, there's a big one down in Tuscaloosa, so I'm going to say this much. Alabama off a bye. I never want to play Nick Saban as a favorite. I feel like it's always one of those spots where everybody's going to want to jump on him. But this year, it's almost as if everybody's written Alabama off, right? After that Texas loss, and then they came to Florida and struggled running that 3-quarterback carousel, and then they struggled again, right? And then they had a great second half against Tennessee. Did they turn a corner there? I don't know. But what I can tell you this is that LSU is in a world of hurt, and that's because they don't play any dang defense. If this team had a defense, they could be a force to reckon with, but they just can't stop a nosebleed. And that's what I think is going to end up happening here. The rubber's going to meet the road for the Tigers, and I do think that ultimately Alabama will get the win. A lot of people play into revenge. Last year, if you remember, they lost 32-31 at LSU. And then got to, that loss is the reason why they got to kill my Kansas State Wildcats in the second half of that Sugar Bowl. So that's actually where I'm looking at. I'm looking at halftime at this one. If Alabama is within a field goal, they may be even down. Alabama's been a wonderful second half team for basically the last 18 months. So that's what I'm going to be looking at to get involved because it's up to 3.5 now. I really don't want to lay it when I think I can either find a better number in game or at half.
Anything else you're looking at? I've just lost my Washington, USC.
Oh boy.
You got anything in that one?
I do. I took the points with USC. And if you remember last week, I had Cal. I said Cal's going to win this football game, and Cal was up double digits and let it slip away, and then ultimately had to try to go for 2 because that's what double-digit underdogs do at home. You don't go to overtime with USC. You just try to win the football game. But USC reluctantly looks like the play here. I know they just gave up 49 points and almost 550 yards to Cal. And of course, they, just turned the ball over at an excessive rate. I like this Washington team, but week after week, they have barely squeaked by. And it kind of reminds me of why I played USC last week, is because something has to give. Eventually, your style of play catches up with you. And even though I have Washington to win the Pac-12 and I have Washington in my college football season win pool, I think USC is going to give them a run for their money because at this point, they got nothing to lose, right? This team is not going to be in the college football playoff. And historically, USC gets to play spoiler since when? So I think that they're going to take advantage of it here. I actually saw this one tick to 2.5 from 3. I just took the plus 125 here. I won't call it an emotional hedge by any means against my Washington bet or that contest, but there's something that just tells me that USC is going to come to play. A lot of chatter about if Caleb Williams should be sitting and preserving himself for the NFL. I don't think that's going to be the case. If Lincoln Riley's squad can find any semblance of defense, I think they win this one.
Yeah, Washington has not looked very impressive since the Oregon win. And I would say Oregon's probably the best team out of the Pac-12 right now. Granted, they lost to Washington. But yeah, I'm on USC too, so we'll see. Before I let you go down to Austin and have your way with 6th Street, who is Kelly in Vegas's Heisman at this point? Because this may be the most parity we've had in a Heisman race. It's like Penix is the shortest shot, then it's Bo Nix, and then it's Caleb Williams. And I mean, since week 1, it's popped around so much.
I think Caleb's done. I don't think Caleb's going to win another Heisman. So it's easy to push him out there. Michael Penix Jr. looked really good. Now, here's the caveat. If it's a head-to-head between he and Bo Nix to win the Heisman, because I don't think it's going to be Jalen Daniels either. Even if they can go into Tuscaloosa and get the win this weekend, I think he's too far gone as well. This is where it gets tough, because if you look at the head-to-head, Michael Penix Jr. over Bo Nix, right? Because of the game. Was he the defining factor of winning that game? Possibly. This is why I don't bet the Heisman, if you want to know my honest opinion. And then you get guys with biased opinions who get a vote on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're going to make me pick, I'll say Michael Penix Jr. But if they lose to USC this weekend, like I think they are, I think that's definitely going to hurt their Heisman odds, because most of these voters don't understand they're only a 3-point road favorite. They're going to say this is a USC team who could easily have 4 losses, right? And that's where it gets tough. So we'll see. There's a few weeks left, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a 2-horse race between he and Bo Nix.
Well, I was hoping you'd say Bo Nix because I just grabbed him like 14-1 and then 24-1 a couple weeks ago. But we'll see. The bodacious ads just keep scrolling on ESPN. So
they're hilarious. I mean, his agents or whoever is paying for him, maybe he's using his NIL money. I don't know. I feel like Bo Nix is like my age at this point. Like I feel like he's been in college football forever.
Yeah, since 1998. All right, Kelly, thank you very much. Enjoy yourself and go Wildcats.
Hey, go Hogs. Let's have a great weekend.
Did you hear that, Q? She said, go Hogs. Let's have a great weekend.
Hey, you should have said just team point over Hogs. That's okay. Whatever happens, happens. Let's get after it.
All right, so to recap our best bets, I've thrown Kelly's on there too. I want to thank her again for stopping by and letting me talk to her for a little bit about sports. I think they're going to have a great time in Austin, Texas. Have you ever been down there?
No.
Man.
I heard it's a good time.
Yeah, 6th Street is wild.
It seems like wherever Kelly goes,
yeah, there's probably a party to follow. Time. All right, so there's our best bet recap, and then now we'll hit our infamous negative EV teaser. Smitty, get the crown. All right. To the man who has not lost a leg of a teaser since
Man, it was good last week. Don't you get up? Like when you wake up on a Sunday and then you're ready to handicap NFL and you know we hit these, just that energy level, a little good, Matt. Feels pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, we did win last week. That's
we
good.
won last week. We won a couple weeks.
Much to my demise because I'm so negative about it. But to the man wearing the crown, we'll start with you. I am going to throw out Kelly, who is like infamously against teasing college football. We're putting one in for her. We're teasing her Kansas State Wildcats up to 10.5. So that's the first leg.
I love it because I'm on Kansas State. I'm on Kansas State already at +4. So let's I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna go Bedlam here. I have not lost, and I'm good. I said I'm not. Hope this doesn't jinx it because I've taken home teams down, but this is a dog. I'm taking them up. I think Oklahoma State's gonna hang with Oklahoma. Could even maybe pull the upset. So I am taking Oklahoma State up some 7 points. Let's get them. Oklahoma State's gonna hang in the game. They might win that outright. So Oklahoma State's my play this week.
I'm going to let you grab Q's play, but I'm going to take Utah down from 11.5 down to 4.5. This is a 7-point teaser, everyone. Those of you who are new here, and we get it, it's a bad bet. But you know why we do it? Because it's fun, and it sets us apart.
And it feels
there's
great
a cool
when you
little
win.
graphic I made about it.
And I look fantastic in the crown.
And because he has a crown.
And I have a crown, so why not? Why? What else are you going to do with a crown except do the teaser? Hey, Q's on Penn State. Q's on Penn State.
Right.
That scares me a little bit because
1.5.
Penn State sometimes with Q does not work out well. But I think it's a good play because I think Penn State's going to win the game outright. So I think you get them down to about maybe -2, -1. I think that's going to be okay.
Oh, well, we'll lock it in, tweet it out. Thank you all. The show went a little long today, but the interview was well worth it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Smitty, anything else before we let everybody go?
Hey, let's go. I went 2-0 last night. I gave out on Sharp Angle Syndicate, the Texas Tech money line play last night. I did a little teaser Duke and Troy last night, 2-0 last night on Sharp Angle Syndicate. Check that site out too. I'm a part of that. Great info. Good. We do a little podcast and everything like that. Good packages. I'm on Syracuse money line tonight as a play. So take Syracuse. They're going to beat BC tonight.
All right. You heard it from the man himself with the crown. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend.